The girl's name was not made public. Rescuers moved slowly, erecting makeshift wooden scaffolding to prevent the remains of the teetering structure from crumbling. They implored bystanders to be quiet to better hear calls for help. It was part of a search for dozens of victims feared buried beneath the Enrique Rebsamen school, where local officials reported 21 children and 4 adults dead after Tuesday's quake. The school was one of hundreds of buildings destroyed by the country's deadliest earthquake in a generation. As rescue efforts continued at the school, a facility for children aged 3 to 14, emergency crews, volunteers and bystanders toiled elsewhere using dogs, cameras and heat-seeking equipment to detect survivors. Reinforcements also began to arrive from countries including Panama, Israel and Chile, local media reported. Hundreds of neighbors and emergency workers pulled rubble from the ruins of the school with their bare hands under the glare of floodlights a full day after the shock. 3 survivors were found at around midnight as volunteer rescue teams known as moles crawled deep under the rubble. "They keep pulling kids out, but we know nothing of my daughter," said 32-year-old Adriana Di Fargo, her eyes red, who had been waiting for hours for news of her 7-year-old. Rescued kids overnight. Volunteers with bullhorns shouted the names of rescued kids so that waiting family members could be reunited with them. While many others remain missing, 52 people have been rescued so far from damaged buildings in Mexico City, Mayor Miguel Angel Mancera said. Nearly 5 million homes, businesses and other facilities lost electricity, including 40% of homes in Mexico City. Power was later re-established to most areas affected. The earthquake toppled dozens of buildings, tore gas mains and sparked fires across the city and other towns in central Mexico. Falling rubble and billboards crushed cars. Volcano erupts too in Rome. Pope Francis said he was praying for Mexico, a majority Catholic country. "In this moment of pain, I want to express my closeness and prayers to all the beloved Mexican people," he said. U.S. President Donald Trump said in a tweet on Tuesday, "God bless the people of Mexico City. We are with you and will be there for you." Trump and Peña Nieto spoke at length on Wednesday, according to the White House. Residents of Mexico City, home to some 20 million people, slept in the streets while authorities and volunteers distributed food and water at tented collection centers. Some volunteers in Mexico City expressed frustration at the disorganization among military and civilian emergency services, which competed over who would lead the rescue efforts. The firefighters and emergency services personnel were more worried about who was in charge, said Gonzalez. The middle-class neighborhood of Del Valle was hit hard, with several buildings toppling over on one street. Reserve rescue workers arrived late at night and were still pulling survivors out as the sun rose on Wednesday.